This is the Mudhugger Evo bolt-on mudguard. I have it in the short version, but they also do a longer version if you want a bit more coverage. This can be adapted to fit on a number of different forks. As standard, when you buy it, it comes with a kit which allows you to attach it to Fox and Mazzocchi forks. And then I've bought an additional kit which allows me to adapt it for use on a Zeb fork. I've been looking for a bolt-on guard for my Zeb fork, mainly to protect the brace and the underside. So we'll just have a quick look around the mudguard itself. So you can see it's got the mounting holes, it's got the Mudhugger logo at the front. As you can see, this section has been lowered here, and this is to allow the crown to actually clear. What's happened on a couple of bolt-on mudguards is that when you compress the fork fully, the crown actually hits the mudguard. It comes with these fitting plates, and all you do is you just obviously break them off this section, and then you fit them in the front there just to get the correct fitment. And it comes with some bolts and some washers, an Allen key, and some adhesive rubber pads sit against the fork legs and over the seals. I'll show you that once it's on the bike. And then the same for the Zeb kit, except this one's slightly thicker. And this lower section allows you to run either their quick fit Velcro strap system or some cable ties, just to give it a little bit extra strength when it's on the fork. I think it should be alright without them, but we'll see once it's fitted. Let's start by fitting these adhesive pads. These are just A4 pieces of paper with the instructions. They do decal kits for these mudguards. I'll also leave a link in the description to a company which does custom decals. So here we are on a fork. The first thing I'd advise is make sure that you clean out these holes, particularly if you've used the fork. So what I'd do is use some isopropyl alcohol or WD-40, GT85 or something like similar. Just clean out the hole and then thread the bolt actually into the hole, just to make sure that if there's any dirt or debris, that you actually make sure it's cleared out before you tighten it in, because the thread pitch on these bolts is quite small, and the last thing you want to do is snap one of these bolts in there. Then to fit the mudguard on, what you can do is come from the rear and then just squeeze in at the sides so that rubber pads will sit against the legs just right next to where the seals are. Then you're just going to put your adapter in, and then obviously you're going to have to make sure that the holes are lined up. Before I forget, I'd actually removed this before I started recording. So this is the little bolt sleeve that comes attached to the Zeb kit. So you just need to remove this. You just get your bolt, put your washer on, and then you've just got to put the sleeve over the top, and then you just screw it into the center. And what I tend to do is I don't fully tighten the bolt up, I just 3/4 thread it in, and then obviously that gives you a little bit of wiggle room just to line up either side. So once you've got all 3 bolts in, just before you finally tighten them up, obviously make sure that the tyre is clearing and that the mudguard is at the angle you want it to be. Then you're just going to do the final tighten. It's 1 Newton meter, and according to their instructions, the supplied Allen key will just start to bend very slightly when it reaches 1 Newton meter. So be extremely careful on these. Do not over tighten them or you risk snapping the bolt. So see how that's just starting to flex there? So that's fine. Here's the lower section where you can fit the quick fit or the cable ties. I don't think you need it. It actually feels fairly rigid, but if you just want to just hold that out just to make sure there's extra clearance, you could use those. And here's what it looks like when it's actually on. This is a 2.4 inch tyre, just for reference, so you can see how much clearance it's got. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the air out of the fork and make sure that the crown doesn't foul it. Hopefully it should be enough clearance on it. Here's all the air out, and then I'm just going to compress the fork. Just try it from another angle, so hopefully you can see that it's clearing. For comparison, here's the standard Zeb fender, which would fit on there, like that. This doesn't offer any protection to the underside of the brace, and also it doesn't have anything out the front. So I think this is a nice compromise, a little bit more protection. I think it looks pretty neat. It feels pretty solid as well. That was a look at the Mudhugger Evo bolt-on mudguard. If you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the box below. And if you got this far into the video, I do appreciate it, and thanks for watching.